All right. Good morning, everyone. Looks like we have a full house. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm Hearing Officer Sam Bivens with the Administrative Hearings Office of the State Water Resources Control Board. This is a status conference in the matter of the pending petitions for change for licenses 6943, 11791, 2205, 2206, 2207, 2208, 2209, 6944, 2837, and 5729 of Santa Clara Valley Water District. The status conference is being conducted by Zoom web conference and is also being broadcast live on the AHO YouTube channel. Both the audio and the video are being recorded, and we will post files of this recording along with the Zoom-generated transcript to the AHO FTP site. The YouTube recording will also be available on the AHO YouTube webpage. If at any time you're experiencing technical difficulties trying to communicate with us, please send an email to the AHO at adminhrgoffice@waterboards.ca.gov. AHO staff will be monitoring the email inbox during this hearing. With me today are several staff of the Administrative Hearings Office. I have Nicole Mullen, Skylar Anderson, Kyle Woldridge, and Rebecca Stolfus. And then we're also joined by Will Scharfenberger of the State Water Board's Office of Chief Counsel, who's part of the hearing team for this matter. So with that introduction out of the way, let's move to appearances of those parties filing NOIs, and I'll start with Valley Water, please.
Good morning, Nathan Metcalf on behalf of the petitioner Santa Clara Valley Water District.
Good morning, Mr. Metcalf. And is there anyone else from Valley Water here on the call today?
Yes, sir. John Bourgeois, I'm the Deputy Officer over Watershed Stewardship and Planning. And we also have Basan Kassab in our Raw Water Division.
Good morning, Mr. Bourgeois and Mr. Kassab.
Morning.
Let's move to the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, please.
Good morning, Kathleen Miller for CDFW.
Good morning, Ms. Miller. And from Baykeeper.
Good morning, Eric Busher, Managing Attorney at San Francisco Baykeeper. My colleague Ben Eichenberg, also a Baykeeper, is with us, as well as our outside counsel. I'll let him introduce himself.
Daniel Cooper with Sycamore Law.
Morning, Mr. Cooper, Mr. Busher, and Mr. Eichenberg. Are there any other entities that filed an NOI that I missed this morning?
Julie Gantenbein, Water and Power Law Group. On behalf of CalTrout, you should have received an NOI from us as well.
Morning, Ms. Gantenbein. And I assume Mr. Roos Collins is with you as well?
Yes, sorry, did not page far enough to the left. Right, yes.
Good morning. Anyone else? All right, very good. I have a short agenda for today. I think we'll be out of here by 9:30 unless I'm surprised by something. So first of all, I just want to say that I really appreciate the joint statement that was filed for this matter. It's really helpful in preparing for these things to be able to look at fewer documents. So thanks very much to the parties for that. It seems like everybody is interested in having the protest resolution period extended by 6 months or so to facilitate mediation and settlement discussions. And that makes sense to me. I don't know that I can do that. I believe that has to come from the Deputy Director for Water Rights, but we will facilitate getting that out over the next few weeks. So feel free to act as if that protest resolution period is going to be extended out by about 6 months. I am going to preliminarily schedule a hearing in this matter for about a year out. You know, my personal experience has been that deadlines tend to keep the parties focused in settlement discussions and think a little more critically about what hills they want to die on in a hearing. And so I will be setting a hearing out about a year from now. And of course, you know, parties are always free to continue negotiating right up through the start of the hearing. But I think that year-long schedule should give everybody enough time to get a sense of where things may go and potentially settle this case, and it would be great if that happens. But we'll be ready to go for a hearing in about a year if the parties can't come to agreement. So more immediately, I will set a status conference out for about the end of May, which will accommodate, I think, both the requests for approximately 6 months of uninterrupted negotiation time and some paternity leave for myself. So I'll ask for a status update on how things are going a couple weeks in advance of that status conference. Another set of joint statements would be lovely. And of course, at that status conference, if the parties think it's appropriate to adjust the hearing dates, they can make that request. I'll want probably a fairly detailed report about why that's going to be appropriate if we're going to extend out the dates. But for now, just kind of assume you'll see a status conference towards the end of May, and we'll get all that out a couple weeks after the hearing, so you have the deadlines for the calendars. With that, I want to turn to Baykeeper's separate statement, which I read, and it sounds like you're, Mr. Busher, I'll put you on the spot. You're interested in participating in the mediation process, and I think that's great. I don't have any authority to tell the parties how to conduct their mediation, but I'll just express my opinion to everybody that probably makes sense to have everybody involved in the mediation process in some way. So to the extent my encouragement can do anything there, consider yourselves all so encouraged. And I also want to acknowledge that I appreciate Valley Water's separate statement that discussions with Baykeeper have occurred and will continue to occur, and that's also very positive. And then I guess finally, potential interaction with AHO and division staff. We have the ex-party rules in effect now that the assignment to our office has occurred. So that makes things a little more challenging. But if the parties get to a point where there are specific areas of assistance would be helpful, please just submit a joint status update statement indicating what you're looking for and what the issues are, whether from the AHO or from division staff, and we'll give some careful thought to how we can accommodate that. I generally think it's positive as you're getting close to memorializing an agreement that you might need input from the regulatory agency before everything is buttoned up. So we'll do our best to accommodate with that within the ex-party rules. So those are all my items and thoughts. Does anyone want to comment on any of those issues that I raised, or any other procedural matters that the parties want to bring up here today?
Yeah, so excuse me, Eric Busher at Baykeeper. I appreciate those comments. I am optimistic based on the conversations we've had with Valley Water and Ms. Gantenbein and Ms. Miller that all of the groups can sit down in the same room, through the mediation process and try and work to see if this matter can be resolved. I don't know if everybody can agree to that today, or right, and I understand you don't have authority to force anybody to do that. I would just note that if that does not end up being the case, we may ask for a much faster hearing schedule or shortening of that resolution period. I don't expect to need to do that, but I just want to flag that potential if we are not allowed to participate in that mediation. And I think ultimately, right, if this is going to successfully resolve, it needs to be one conversation, right? Asking Valley Water to negotiate on two sides and make compromises on two sides at the same time is going to be a recipe for difficulty and probably failure. So just wanted to put that on the record. And then the only other question I have, I know there are the Zoom generated or AI generated transcripts. They're getting better, I guess. But I didn't know if there was going to be a court reporter for this proceeding, or for, at least once we got to the case in chief stage, if that was going to be part of what would happen here.
Are they getting better? That's great to hear.
I mean,
I haven't noticed yet, but I'm glad to hear that at least someone is seeing some improvements in these Zoom generated transcripts.
It may be that I'm just getting better at reading the language that does not make a ton of sense and interpreting it, but here we are.
Yeah, when you're seeing, references to like the North Korean water storage district or whatever, you I understand. So in terms of transcripts, the way the AH, and you're, I think very familiar with this at this point, Mr. Busher, we've seen you on the sites proceeding. The AHO typically treats the YouTube recording is the official record for the proceeding. If the parties want to get together and split the costs of a court reporter, I think that's great. Certainly having a court reporter transcript is helpful to everybody. And if we move towards the hearing, I would certainly encourage the parties to come to an agreement on retaining court reporting services, but the AHO typically does not have its own court reporter. And if we do get to that point where there's a hearing, I will spell out in some detail, what the rules are going to be around transcripts. Sometimes parties go ahead and hire a court reporter unilaterally, and when you're filing closing briefs and stuff, that if that party wants to rely on a transcript, an independently obtained transcript, then we'll ask that those full transcripts be submitted at the time of the brief being filed or whatever. But I'll just encourage the parties, if we're going to hearing, try to agree amongst yourselves about how court reporting services are going to be obtained. Otherwise, you could muddle through the Zoom transcript and cite to the YouTube recording in your briefs, which I have done in practice and is not ideal. All right. Thank you, Mr. Busher. Does anybody else have anything they want to raise today? All right. So in terms of next steps, I'll get a hearing notice and a further status conference notice out in the next couple of weeks. We'll schedule another status conference for late May to see where things are at. And with that, I think we can adjourn today. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.